Yeah, Andrew Gade, change the conversation. Yes, guys, we're back. All of us together, yes. Another beautiful day here in San Diego. I know, right? It's actually starting to rain. So if you're listening to this tonight, it should still be raining. Now, as much as we can complain about the rain here, I have to say, and I'm not just me, I'm sorry, but like 15 million Californians are under like flood advisories and warnings. With this, I think there's now, I don't know how you exactly count these atmospheric rivers. Supposedly, I saw something like somewhere between 6 or 9 of these atmospheric rivers have hit us since just Christmas. Um, as of just, I guess, today, 19 people have died. I mean, they're getting hit again in Northern California today with another big storm. They got flooding going on all over the place. It's really bad. Now, of course, to look on the bright side, you could say, well, we're no longer in drought. So I guess there's always two sides to everything. So that's a good thing. Our reservoirs are filling up. We've got 200% of our snowpack, which I am looking forward to enjoying next weekend, going up to Tahoe and going to get a couple days of snowboarding in. Come to find out, I haven't been snowboarding since 2016. I started skiing when I was like 6 years old and learned to snowboard when I was about 12 or 13, and pretty much didn't miss a year until I got a little older, moved to San Diego, and then I don't know what's happened. I don't even have a good explanation. It's one of those things I enjoy so much. So I'm happy to be able to finally be able to get back on the slopes here next week. So I'll let you guys know how that all went. Supposedly it's like riding a bike. And so if that's the case, then we should be all good. So I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, I really feel bad for all those people that are being negatively affected by this, obviously. It's one of those things to where, California is not really designed to get a lot of rainfall in a lot of places, even here in San Diego. One thing that really was interesting was to see all the erosion and the issues that happened just here in San Diego, and more important, like in Coronado, right there by the shores where I'm staying. We've lost about 5 feet of sand. So there's these bottom level of stairs that are now exposed that I'd never seen before. They've probably been buried in sand now for decades. There's an old shipwreck, the Monte Carlo, that the top portion of that's now visible at low tide. And of course, by the Dell there, a lot of sand and when the waves coming up and all that. So it's made a big mess, and it's kind of changed the look of the beach. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen here once we get in the spring and summer, if indeed the sand's going to come back in, or we're going to have to replenish that sand in some way or another, in one way or the other. So I'll be curious to see, but it's definitely in front of the shores now, Coronado Shores there really is no beach anymore. The waves are coming right up to the rocks. So it's, being there for almost a year and a half, never seen anything like that before. So, weather events like this can definitely change the way things look. So, So anyways, so rain is good, but too much rain is not good. So it's, everything in moderation. Even nature can learn from that lesson there too. So anyways, we got a lot of fun stuff that happened here this last week, right? I know we had the big Southwest meltdown here just after Christmas. And then I guess here just on Wednesday, there was a failure of a key federal safety system that led to widespread disruptions in domestic air travel. And again, this is just a few weeks after the whole Southwest debacle. And of course, it's prompting a fresh round of scrutiny from lawmakers. It's like Buttigieg, whatever his name is. I don't know how to pronounce that thing. But supposedly he's the transportation secretary, and he was going to get all, grill Southwest and figure all this stuff out, because it's all their fault. And then all of a sudden now, this new breakdown and issue here looks like he's also getting a little bit of heat and gripe for this as well, too. And it boils down to, come to find out, outdated technology. Yes, so all this money that we're not investing in updating our technology is coming around to bite us, bite us in the butt. Yeah, it's not good. So, that's something that we need to think about. We have an issue with corporations not investing in technology. That was the case with Southwest. We have the case now with our federal government not investing in technology that is causing all these disruptions, right? And I guess it was all traced to they traced the outage to a damaged database file. So a damaged database file was able to put pretty much, I guess, stop all air traffic for like 90 minutes. This is the first nationwide flight stoppage since September 11th, 2001. So yeah, so I guess we probably haven't updated the system since then. And then what else here? Oh yeah, that's right. I was at the gym on the elliptical and get a workout in and got to see good old Joe Biden hanging out with President of Canada and Mexico. I guess they had some summit there in Mexico City. And I guess they're talking about strengthening the regional partnership after this three-way summit they held there. It was on Tuesday. I guess on issues that included economic cooperation, climate change, and the movement of people and drugs across the southern U.S. border. So, of course, when I saw the news conference, they were just thanking each other for showing up and how they talked about how it's important to work together. And it's funny when you watch these, quote-unquote world leaders hanging out together. It's just they live in a different place. It's like everything to them, it's like, yeah, we hope everything's going to be better and we're going to work for this, work for that. They don't really care. They don't care at all. It's just a big joke. Of course, their job is to say they care. They're not going to do anything different. Nothing's going to change. Unless you make some fundamental changes, nothing is going to change. So just because you are all working together and you're hanging out together doesn't mean that anything's going to change. And it's kind of sad because, again, I talked about this and I mentioned it multiple times, but the solution to solving the drug issue is legalizing drugs. The solution to the people and immigration issue is changing how we look and address immigration. Okay? Without those fundamental changes, then nothing's going to be fixed. So that's the realistic thing. So you can have all the meetings and all the summits you want to have, and it's not going to change. So, because remember, money is corrupting all these systems. Just like money from pretty much corporations owns America and controls what happens in our government. Drug money and cartel money is what controls politics and this stuff in Mexico. So it's just all boils down to money and who it is. Because remember, cartels are businesses. They're just looked at as being illegal businesses. Where we look at corporations as being legal businesses, even though a lot of times they're breaking the law. So there you go. It's the same thing. And then and good old Biden here. He's got a lot of heat going on this week. Yeah. So he was all about talking about how could Trump have these documents and secret files, all this what are all the stuff they found in Mar-a-Lago, all the top secret documents that they found for Trump. Well, good. Even Joe Biden was hanging on to some top secret documents. I guess they found them on November 2nd. Here, I guess at the Penn Biden Center, and then again they found some here at his house, which even his druggy, crack-smoking son, Hunter Biden, was also hanging out at. So I guess even Hunter Biden had access to these documents, and they reported that to the DOJ back in December 20th. So of course they're saying, now why'd you wait so long to let the public know about these documents? Were you waiting until after the election? That seems kind of interesting. The timing of all this here too. I guess a special counsel now is going to investigate the matter. And of course, Joe Biden's response was that he was surprised. He's old. He can barely talk. He can barely walk. Come on, a guy's memory is obviously not very good. So of course he's surprised. He's probably surprised when you let him know what he ate for breakfast this morning. You're like, oh wow, I didn't even realize I had oatmeal this morning. So there you go. We'll tell you this. I'm not surprised by any of this. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, look, what do we have here? We have Trump that's breaking the law, quote unquote. We have Joe Biden's breaking the law, or just doesn't show, doesn't even care about it, right? And that's the problem we have. They're above the law. And at this point, it's like, we really have to think about the fact that they're both to blame. It's not Republicans are worse, Democrats are worse. They're both the worst. They're both to blame. We need to get rid of both of them. I think personally, like I said this, and people can feel how you want to feel about this, but when Trump became president and there was all the Trump versus Biden, I said this: Trump is a corporate criminal, Biden is a government criminal. They're both criminals. They both break the law. Yeah, and I guess now, because now the Republicans have control of the House, they are going to be opening up their long-promised investigation into Joe Biden and his family's finances. So also that looking into, I guess, former Twitter executives, how they laid the groundwork for public hearings. So again, all that's going to happen is this. You had, once Biden became president, all they've been doing is going after Trump, the January 6th trials and hearings going on for years. And now what's going to happen is going to be investigations into Biden and his family and Hunter Biden and his laptop. This is never ending. I'm getting sick and tired of it. Why are we doing this nonsense? Why are we allowing these criminals to be a part of our government? Why are we even allowing this government system and structure that's broken to exist? It's tiresome. It's exhausting. And it's humiliating. As an American, I feel stupid. I'd rather be a Mexican. At least they're more honest about their corruption than America is. So, it's just, again, nothing's going to happen. Gridlock, fighting. And you've got these two parties that are never going to work together. So, what does that mean for the American people? We're sitting here having to work harder, having to work longer for less money. Prices are going up. You got the government over here that's living on another planet, doesn't care about us, and so, that's a shame. And we really have to think about it. I know I've said it so many times. I'm going to keep on saying it until somehow we get this done. We need to have fundamental government structure change, bottom up, self-sustaining, hyper-local models. Very similar, it's like the model I created over 12 years ago. Okay, we have to do it. It's not going to be the easiest thing for change. I know as humans, we resist change. But if we want to fix a problem, we're going to have to change things. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. That's how it's going to have to work there. Okay, and then even in Brazil, they had, I guess, Brazilian authorities. This was happened on like Monday. I think it happened over the weekend or Monday, something like that. Here, where all a bunch of protesters stormed the nation's capital there. And it was similar to the whole January 6th. So they're comparing to January 6th, saying how these Brazilians, they stormed the Capitol building and this and that because they were all mad that their president got taken out and the new left leader they disagree with. So, we're having issues with all kinds of things happening globally when it comes to questioning our government, questioning politics, questioning elections. So it's not just a U.S. thing. It's literally global. So anyways, guys, we're going to take a short break and we will catch you on the flip side. Let's do it. Yes, that's my name. The host, Andrew Gade. Sounds so formal. Wow, man. Even though it's just me and Chris hanging out here in the studio on a rainy day, and there's no one here. It's kind of weird, actually. But like Chris said, it's kind of nice. So yeah, it's one of those things about working on a Saturday, coming from work at the tint shop to coming hanging out here, work in the studio, putting some work in for the radio, so we can keep all the listeners entertained out there, right? Is that the whole point of this? I guess something like that. Entertained, annoyed. I guess if you're annoyed with the radio, you can turn it off, right? Which is why do we get so angry at the television when we can just turn it off? Why are we even watching things that we don't like? Why are we listening to people that we don't want to listen to? Aren't you guys all adults? Even kids know how to turn on and off the radio and TV and there's all these cell phones they do and iPads. So, maybe that's one of those things. Remember that whole thing, sticks and stones break your bones, but words never hurt me. I don't know. It just seems like some of these adults have just turned into a bunch of whiny little children. Or maybe they've always been whiny little children and they just got older and now we call them adults, even though they're still a bunch of children. Because they're acting like children. So we have to start treating them like the way they act, I guess. Versus their age. That's maybe a good call there. Yeah, I like that one there. So this is not good. This is not good at all. But there was a war game simulation that suggests that a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would fail at a huge cost to the U.S., Chinese, and Taiwanese militaries. So from what I saw, they were saying they estimated between like 10 to 20 US ships would be sunk, 2 aircraft carriers, 3,000 American troops, and that was the US side. And then they were saying for China, it'd be like 100 or 200 Navy vessels, their amphibious fleet. They'd lose probably 10,000 or tens of thousands of people would die. Taiwan would pretty much be probably leveled in the process. It's going to probably end up looking like, let's see, Ukraine. But here's the thing. They would cripple both of our U.S. Navy, and it would also cripple the Chinese Navy. So why would we do this? Why would we even consider thinking about, quote unquote, protecting Taiwan or trying to stop China from doing something that it said it's going to do? Okay, if someone said, hey, if you touch this or if you do this, I'm going to beat you up. You say, oh yeah, really? Well, if you hit me, then I'm going to hit you back. That's what the U.S. and China are doing right now. Okay, this is literally like two guys at a bar in Pacific Beach who are like, oh really? Well, yeah, you just nut. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to punch you back. And then they get into a fight at the bar. Now, what happens when two people get a fight at the bar? A couple things happen here. First off, they're both going to get injured. They're both going to get hurt. Okay, that's what's going to happen. So not one person is not going to get hurt, and the other person is going to get hurt. No, they're both going to get hurt one way or the other. Then let's see what's going to happen after that. Some stuff might get broken, and then probably someone's going to maybe get arrested. Maybe both of them. Personally, I would arrest them both because they're both involved in this situation in a fight, and they both had the ability of not getting the fight in the first place. There's been dozens of situations in my life where I could have very easily gotten into a physical altercation with another person, and I didn't. I was able to talk my way out of it. I was able to deflate it, or I'm sorry, like to diffuse the situation and not cause a fight, knowing that a fight would only make things worse. And here's the thing: we shouldn't be provoking China. When we are, we have to accept the fact that there are countries around the world, okay, current day, that are going to do things that we can't stop them from doing. It's just like the situation with Ukraine. We should never have got involved with protecting Ukraine. We should have let that up to Ukraine and Russia. Sorry, guys, that's on you. One of the biggest mistakes we make, and if we try to protect Taiwan and stop China from taking it, that is going to make this whole debacle and situation in Ukraine look like nothing. Okay, this is going to be the worst thing that's going to happen, and that's literally going to trigger. To me, I'll call that World War III at that point. So we don't want that to happen. And why would we be risking American lives? I mean, our aircraft carriers are getting old anyways, right? I mean, they're breaking down all the time. So sinking a couple aircraft carriers wouldn't be the end of the world. The problem is that there's Americans on there, men and women, who shouldn't be their lives should not be put at risk because you have some politicians over here playing politics and, picking fights with other people. So I got a big problem with that. And I'd say, let's not do it. I'm sorry, guys. Just accept the fact that China's going to do what China's going to do. There's a lot of things America does that people don't agree with as well, too. Okay? And we don't listen to other countries. So let's stop telling other countries what they can and can't do. There you go. That's what I got to say about that. But getting back a little closer to home here. And speaking of homes, right? I know we have this big issue here in San Diego, California. It says we don't have enough houses, and there's not enough houses, right? Well, there's also an issue with not having enough land. Now, especially we talk about Coronado. So Coronado, is kind of landlocked. They've got an area where they've got people living, and then they've got this thing called the bay, and they've got ocean, and then they got the military base taking up a lot of area. So that people say, hey, if you want more housing in Coronado, maybe you should look at this land that the military has, because the military has a lot of land that could be worked for housing. And if we change our, we restructure our military and we rethink what, protect the United States is, we wouldn't really need as much space for all these, personnel, and we could actually create more housing. But that's whole other conversation to have in the future. But anyways, Coronado is being mandated by the state to build, 912 additional housing units soon, or risk prosecution. Okay, so I guess they're going to try to prosecute Coronado. Throw Coronado in jail? That's going to be interesting. No, but what they're going to do is they said that they're going to, potential penalties include fines of up to $100,000 per month, loss of state funding, and a loss of local land use. So the thing is this, the state is coming in telling Coronado that you need to do this. And Coronado has been saying, well, they lost that lawsuit. I guess it was Coronado, Imperial Beach, and I can't remember another city, I think Del Mar or something like that, or whatever, another city, San Diego. They lost a lawsuit, challenging these housing requirements. And what Coronado's done is they pretty much invited California State Housing Authority to come in and say, hey guys, how about you come around with us in Coronado and you help us find these areas where we're going to put these homes. Where are we going to put them? Okay, come out here and you show us. Because if you can find an area to put these homes, we'd love to do it. At the same time, we have to try and work on not ruining and destroying the city, right? Having an issue with destroying what the charm of Coronado makes Coronado, not putting these big apartments in everywhere, high rises. And that's the problem we have. So it comes down to a point that if the state is going to come after Coronado and take away our funding and fine us, why doesn't Coronado separate from the state? Why don't we use Coronado? And I would love to help Coronado become an independent sovereign city. Cut us off from the state, cut us off from the county, and keep all of our money to ourselves. And then we can make our own decisions. If we don't want to put more housing, we won't. But you know what? I think the state here and the county are coming a little hard-handed. And once it gets to a point where they start telling residents what they can and can't do, and more importantly, what residents can't do with their own city, okay, that they've been living in their whole life, and now multiple generations, that's going to be a big problem. So again, I would love to work with Coronado in the future here to create the first model of California and start in a self-sustaining sovereign city like Coronado, and use it as an example and start fixing our state one city, one county at a time. So that's how we're going to have to address this, because again, if people start losing their ability to have a say over what happens in their own backyard, that already is not going over well, and it's going to not go over well in the future here as well too. And this is not just in Coronado. I mean, here in University, it's happening in College area. My area is getting bombarded with this now, all the new housing requirements. University City, I guess now they're saying with this new housing density plan, they're going to go from 27,000 existing housing units to 83,000 without space, without corresponding infrastructure. So they're all up in arms. It's happening all over the place. And one thing I know that we talked about before was in San Francisco. They have one of the highest office vacancy rates. Okay, so they have all these empty office buildings. So almost a third of all office space is empty in the city. And it's going to supposedly even get worse. Let's see here what they say now. San Francisco has been referred to as the work from home capital of the United States, where 46% of employees in San Francisco worked from home in 2021. So you have all people working from home, all this empty office space, convert that to housing. Why don't we use the space that we already have and make that housing? Okay, there you go. So that can help. And at the end of the day, there's some places that have extra room for it, like San Francisco, like empty office buildings. Places out east where they have all this open land. But don't be putting it on places in cities that don't have available land, and that will be destroying the nature of that city, what makes that city special, especially Coronado. And I know that we're in the new year here. We just got into it, and last time we talked about how we have thousands of new laws coming on the books. But small businesses. I run a small business as well too. And of course, in 2023, there's going to be just as many issues as 2022, maybe even more. Of course, what do we got here? We have this looming recession. We've got stubbornly high inflation. We have trouble when it comes to labor, when it comes to retaining employees, just finding employees that are willing to work. But the one big issue I have here is the Labor Department. They've come in and proposed a rule that would make it easier to classify independent workers as employees. Now, I know that we voted against that to try, when Uber and Lyft and saying, okay, we want to keep them as independent contractors. Now, here's the thing, and this is what I have a problem with. It's all being sold to the public. It's a fraud. Okay, they're coming in the Labor Department saying, oh, it's all about, protecting workers, okay, and evening out the playing field. It's not about that at all. It's about California getting more payroll taxes. It's about California helping out workman's comp insurance to make sure all these people are getting workman's comp insurance. Okay, all this is doing is going to be more taxes, more money for corporations, more money for the government, and more money for insurance companies. That's what they're looking to do. That's what they care about. They don't care about employees. It's a big fraud. It's a big lie. So I'd like to see again us restructure, get rid of taxes, get rid of workman's comp insurance, and that way it doesn't matter whether you're an employer or an independent contractor because no one's financially gaining off the situation. That'd be the way that we know it's not fraudulent. So that's how we address that issue right there. I'd like to see that. And then the one thing we're going to leave off here, guys, today is another little situation. We talked about rain and all this water and all the situation happening with flooding. Now, there's a study, I guess, that predicts that 68% of glaciers are set to disappear by 2100. Okay, that's here in less than 80 years. That would increase sea level rise by 4.5 inches, already on top of the what inch or so it's gone up here. So 4.5 inches of water going up plus a sea level rise. That means that Coronado is going to be underwater, along with all these other places on the coast around the world too, guys. So anyways, we're going to leave off with flooding as on the show here, guys. Love you guys out there. Hope you guys have a great week. I'll catch you next.